Eddie over here.
And follow me as I walk around.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Matt Leliaert from 1991 to 93, big part of the Penn Success Football Program. Matt, first of all, one thing that you had a very unique scenario growing up because your dad was a teacher and then became a member of the business community and then became a member of the school board. So Penn Harris Madison was something that was part of you and your sister's life for the entire time. So
Yep.
I want you to go back and take me through, if you will, growing up as a Penn kid, what it was all about.
I guess we started attending athletics probably around 4th grade or so. And we went to every football game, most basketball games. Those were the two main sports we followed. But football was the special one between the two, really. The Friday Night Lights, a lot of nostalgia. You still kind of feel it walking into the stadium even as an adult. So it was always really cool. It was one of those things that you lay around and or falling asleep at night dreaming of playing Penn football. So it definitely had a lot of influence and a lot of meaning for our family. Yeah.
Now, there was something that Coach Giesman and Dr. Spiker kind of started together when they became teammates, if you will, in the early 70s, and they created this culture mindset, mantra, if you will, on the Penn way. Mm-hmm. They were going to do things the Penn way in every aspect of education. So you've heard the Penn way. What does the Penn way mean to you, especially now as a business person who's come back to the community? You've seen it from afar, now you're involved, but also as an athlete, and you also provide us another insight because your dad is involved in the school board, so you've seen it from a lot of different hats, if you will.
Sure. There's a lot of things, adjectives you could use to describe the Penn way, but doing things the right way, doing things with a high standard, working hard, not accepting defeat, not accepting being tired, and execution. I mean, they did hold us to a high standard, whether it was in the classroom or on the field. If you didn't hold that standard, you weren't doing things the Penn way. I mean, that was kind of the way it was, and you knew it from the beginning. It's what you expected, and you followed it, or you didn't do it.
Coach Giesman, in many people's lives, he's a larger-than-life scenario. He is this charismatic personality. He comes across as this dumb country bumpkin to some people, but to be honest with you, he's brilliant, he's calculated, and he's a master motivator. So tell me about what you think about Coach Giesman.
Coach Giesman at first was really intimidating. I mean, he's a big guy. He's loud. It took me a while to kind of get used to that. It's good that he was involved, through football camps growing up and at the middle school to a point with football and things like that too. So you did get some exposure to him before you got to the high school, but he can be a really intimidating figure. But I would have never in my life described him as a country bumpkin or anything of that nature. You spend enough time around the guy, there's a lot more there than a country bumpkin, that's for sure. And I guess I never saw that perception of him from that angle. So he was one of those guys that from when I first started following Penn football that you really looked up to. So I was lucky to be coached by an Indiana High School Hall of Fame coach. I was fortunate, and I took a lot of lessons from him.
Now you go off to college, you win a national championship.
Two,
exactly. So now you're in a situation, I've had people, I talked to Mike Rosenthal, who played 14, 15 years in the NFL, and he still says
I played next to him.
That it was the greatest experience of his life was playing Penn football.
Sure.
So having won a couple of national championships, can just talk about as you can look back on it fondly now, did the Penn memories still loom large?
It's hard to compare the two. It was a very different culture between the two. But yeah, it's hard to compare Penn football culture to anything else because it really, I don't know how to describe it. It really kind of becomes a part of you. You know, my last Penn game, we lost, and it was devastating. I mean, honestly, I don't know if I ever got completely past it, but you know, college was different. It was a little bit more of a job in college than it was in high school. It hurt a lot more too, but you know, it was a little bit more of a duty than it was an honor, I guess you could say. So yeah, I mean, it's really hard to describe. It's special.
I've had a lot of athletes, former athletes, tell me that the first time they got their Gold Rush sticker or their Wild Bunch sticker was one of their favorite moments of their lives, and that I've had two guys tell me that was more important than the first time they held their high school diploma.
My class might have been the only class that didn't get them. I don't remember exactly what happened at the beginning of the season, but the coaches were pretty upset and said, you guys aren't getting them. So we didn't have them that year. So again, it kind of a testament to the Penn way. If you're not doing it and doing it right, you're not doing it. So it was a wake-up call, I think, for a lot of guys. It probably was pretty motivational. I was pretty disappointed that I never got to wear one. But, you know, it is what it is at this point.
Give us an idea as you look back on your favorite playing moments at Penn High School, whether it may have been a game moment or maybe a pregame warm-up or maybe with some travel time. Do you have a favorite moment, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of great moments. It's hard to pick out one, but I would say the regular season game against Elkhart Central was probably my favorite game we played in. I didn't get in the game right away, and I was pretty upset on the sidelines, and it fueled my fire a little bit that once I got in the game, someone was going to pay. So it was the highest grade I ever got as a lineman, and I don't know, I really think it was kind of that was probably the game I kind of figured things out in football. You know, I don't know that you have to say you have to like to hit, but it's something that you have to be really good at to be successful in football in most positions. So it was probably the first time I left the field and, I don't know, had a bit of an adrenaline from physically dominating the guy across from you. So that was probably my favorite game that we played in. But you know, from running camps for the little guys, we always spent the night on the field the last night before camp ended. There was something special in that every year. 2-a-days, you know, bleeding, sweating, crying with your teammates. I mean, it's probably a lot of what military personnel go through on the field of battle. I have to imagine I've never done that, but from what is described to me, it's a brotherhood, and it's something that for years after you're done playing, you miss because it becomes a really big part of you when you're younger and playing the sport. I mean, I still every once in a while have a dream about football, and it's always one where I've left my helmet somewhere, or I missed the bus, or I don't know where I'm going. I mean, it's a dread of not getting to do it, and I really think it's part of me that misses the game so much that makes it tough on guys that really bled black and gold.
There was a unique tradition, I don't know if it goes as far back as when you guys were playing, but the last home game for the Penn football players, they would run out on the field and they would
Mudslides.
Mudslides.
Yeah, we did that.
And so tell us about the mudslides.
It wasn't at the last game usually for us. It was always whenever we had an opportunity when there was mud on the field. So sometimes it was 2-a-days, sometimes it was after a regular season practice. I don't remember ever doing it after a game, but taking your pads off and getting a good running start and throwing yourself head first through the mud, flying through the field, it was fun. I mean, also pretty special moments with your buddies and your teammates. Everybody
says there's always one or two lighthearted moments, one of those funny moments that, whether it be a team dinner or heck, it could be something happened on the bus, could be something that happened at camp, it could be happened when you were a little guy. That was the funniest moment. I mean, one of the funny moments that somebody shared with me was Coach Giesman wiped out was running down the sideline, lost his footing, and landed on his backside. So there's some funny moments. You're laughing now, so you must have a couple.
No, I'm just envisioning that.
You're just envisioning that moment. Yeah. All right, so is there something that still brings a smile to your face this day? Or maybe it's just being around the guys?
Really I'm sure there were tons of hilarious moments, probably some I can't really share, but yeah, I mean, it's, I still get together with some of the guys from our high school teams, and we reminisce quite a bit about just different things that the coaches did or our teammates did or situations that we were in, and yeah, there's always a lot of those fun memories, or the stupid crap we used to say while we were stretching to each other. We usually had a contest to see if we could make each other laugh, especially before practice. So yeah, I don't really have one distinct moment where something crazy like Coach Giesman falling on the sidelines. But it 3 years of doing it, it certainly wasn't without him. So we had tons.
Okay, finally, as a successful business person today, and you look back on the lessons that you've learned by being a part of Coach Giesman and Coach Yeoman's football program, and just being a part of this, can you tell me some of the things that you use each and every day that you learn during your time at Penn?
I really consider myself lucky. I got to play for 2 football programs, and both coaches are Hall of Fame coaches. I took a lot from Penn that served me well in college. I mean, especially your first year as an underclassman is brutal, because you go from, I hate to say it this way, but playing with boys in high school to playing with men in college, and it's a different game, and it breaks people fast. A lot of people. I mean, you have camp where kids don't show up the next day for practice because they hopped in a car overnight and went home. So I think the work ethic and just the refusal to give up served me well in college, but then also in the business world too. I mean, those are traits that if you don't learn early on are really hard to learn as an adult. I mean, I watched a lot of my professional co-workers and employees in the past struggle with things like that. When times get tough, it's a lot easier just to say, I'll try something different instead of making this work. So the work ethic and getting knocked down and getting back up again. I mean, you have to get back up again. If you play football and you have any level of success, if you don't get back up again, you're not playing anymore, obviously. So fighting through challenges. I mean, I really attribute most of my success in life to what I learned on the football field.
Wow. Can't go back.
Not
That's
to
beautiful.
say you